but you're going to see action taken because we believe it's responsible to allow everybody to have choice of what news they can want to listen to.
All right, that's House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on Newsmax's Spicer and Company last night talking about DirecTV dropping Newsmax. He says it all comes down to free speech, and the network should not be punished for having a conservative perspective. Congressional correspondent Kimini Dukart joins us live now from Capitol Hill with more on McCarthy's interview with Newsmax. Hey, Kimini.
Yeah, John, before we get to, of course, the debt ceiling showdown that is set to play out on Wednesday, we want to update you a little bit on the meeting between House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and Jordan's King Abdullah II, meeting earlier here at the Capitol, as well as with members of the House GOP, and a meeting convening with Jordan's King and the House Armed Services Committee. Very high up on the discussions were Israeli-Palestinian tensions that have been playing out. We know that their one-on-one meeting, of course, is the first with a foreign leader since McCarthy took the speaker's gavel. Abdullah recently hosting Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu following violence and tension that we've seen in Jerusalem. Now, tomorrow, as you mentioned, Speaker McCarthy, he's going to be meeting with President Biden in their first attempt to resolve the debt ceiling crisis. Here's what he told our own Sean Spicer and Lindsay Keith last night on Spicer and Company.
I want to be respectful. I believe in having something responsible, but I'm going to sit down with the president. I'm going to say, let's talk about this. I can lay out a lot of different places that we can become more efficient in. And if the president wants to defend the place where he doesn't want to negotiate and he thinks someone should just raise this limit and he doesn't believe there's any waste in government, I think he's the only person in America that thinks that way.
And earlier this morning, House Republican leadership holding a press conference previewing their plans to investigate what they call wasted taxpayer dollars during the pandemic. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise commenting on the Biden administration's decision to end the COVID pandemic declaration, saying, why wait till May? We know that this is something that House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is pushing to end immediately.
All right, Kimini Dukart live for us on Capitol Hill. Thank you, Kimini.
A New York Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik tweeting her reaction to AT&T DirecTV deplatforming Newsmax, saying, quote, I've said deplatforming Newsmax is unacceptable. Families rely on this conservative program for news, including in hashtag NY21. It's very clear bias. The House GOP is examining this in detail now. Let's delve in a little bit deeper. And joining us now with some insight is former California Congressman and Truth Social CEO Devin Nunes. Devin, great to see you, sir.
Great to be with you guys.
So it doesn't seem like there's any disagreement here. AT&T DirecTV, OAN last year, Newsmax this year. The conservative censorship is a pattern. Everyone says they need something to be done, but no one really has set a date for a hearing, Devin. What do you think needs to happen right now?
Well, I think this is just a sign of the times. If you look back over the last, let's say for sure the last 5, 6, 7 years, but I think it even goes back farther. It's no different than at the high level. You have conservative people leaving blue states like California and Illinois for red states like Florida and Texas. At the same time, you had Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc., all shadow banning or outright banning conservatives. I mean, right? That's why I left the Congress and came over to Truth Social, was to stand here in the breach and give people a home. And the same thing is happening with these woke corporations. You saw it with One America News, like you said last year, and Newsmax is just the latest casualty. I think this is one, though, that is a step too far because Newsmax has been growing. Mm-hmm. Newsmax has been adding to your primetime lineup. You've been expanding your news. I mean, I'm on your channel probably, at least 2 or 3 times a week, and more people are tuning into Newsmax. And as you probably know, and I heard this last night on Newsmax with the Senator Mark Wayne Mullen from Oklahoma. He had this point, that people that live in rural areas really depend on Dish Network and DirecTV.
Right.
And so I think this hits Newsmax especially hard.
Yeah, and the people, and get their broadband, and AT&T is getting federal money for some of this. So let's talk about the money, obviously, Devin, because there's some, questions here about the donations to the campaigns. Look at this, AT&T 2020 spent almost $6 million to Democratic folks here, in sharp contrast to Republicans. But we know they're also making money through lucrative government contracts. So they get the money in, they give it back to Democrats. It's a vicious circle here. What can be done about that? Because, with that money, obviously the Democrats, they're beholden to them.
Yeah, so this is another interesting point. The corporations, the major corporations publicly traded, have also all become woke, even at their board levels. And one of the things, if you look back 5 or 10 years ago, a lot of the corporations tried to play it right down the middle. And I actually remember specifically AT&T had a policy that was very right down the middle. In other words, they would give half money to Republicans, half the money to Democrats. That's now changed in the last few years. And so then that's going to bring scrutiny because, of course, it's kind of funny. The irony is that the Republicans have always been, called, oh, they're the party of the big corporations. Well, that's no longer true. And I think you see it by what you see on the screen there, just in how they're spreading out their financial commitments to political candidates.
Yeah, and it's one thing if it's a woke company and, it's Disney, it's entertainment. We're talking about free speech. We're talking about censorship. We're talking about denying people important conversations where, Democrats and Republicans all are welcome here to come on to Newsmax.
Right.
It's a much bigger issue here. And obviously, Congress is taking notice. And I know you are a former congressman and you know exactly what needs to be done as well. Devin Nunes, I've got to leave it there. As always, great to have you in, Truth Social CEO. Thank you so much for your time today.
Great to be with you.
Thank you.